Hello everyone, I'm Heidi from the Beebe Library Youth Room. In celebration of the Lunar New Year, I have a traditional Chinese folktale to share with you. The story uses a Chinese form of storytelling using tangrams, ancient puzzles that we still play with today. A tangram begins with a square, which is cut into 7 shapes. Each shape is called a tan. In creating a picture, all 7 tans must be used. They must touch, but none may overlap. When tangrams are used in storytelling, the storyteller arranges the tans to show the shape of the character in the tale. As new characters are introduced, the puzzle pieces are rearranged to represent each new character. Today's story is about a young girl who asks her grandfather for a story using the tangram. So he creates an adventure for her full of magic, clever animals, and ultimately, true friendship.
Grandfather Tang's Story by Anne Tompert, illustrated by Robert Andrew Parker, published by Dragonfly Press. Grandfather Tang and Little Sue were sitting under a peach tree in their backyard. They were amusing each other by making different shapes with their tangram puzzles. "Let's do a story about fox fairies," said Little Sue. So Grandfather Tang arranged his 7 tangram pieces into the shape of a fox. Then Grandfather Tang made another fox with Little Sue's 7 tangram pieces. Little Sue clapped her hands as her grandfather began. Once there were 2 fox fairies named Chu and Wu Ling. They were best friends, but they were always trying to outdo each other. One day this rivalry almost brought their friendship to a tragic end. They were sitting under their favorite willow tree beside a river talking about their magic powers. "I can change myself into a rabbit as quick as a wink," boasted Wu Ling. "I bet you can't do that." "I can too," said Chu. "Cannot," said Wu Ling. Anyway, actions speak louder than words, and he changed himself into a rabbit. "Not bad," said Chu, smoothing his whiskers, "but watch me do better than that." And before Wu Ling could blink, Chu changed from a fox into a dog. Now when Chu changed himself into a dog, he not only looked like a dog, but he felt like a dog and acted like a dog. He bared his teeth and lashed his tail. Wu Ling shivered and twitched his nose. "I love rabbits," Chu growled, "and I'm going to get you and gobble you up." The dog edged closer and closer. Wu Ling's eyes grew bigger and bigger. He was too frightened to move at first, but then he thought, "I'll be safe if I can climb up the willow tree." His little puff of a tail grew long and bushy, and his tall ears shrunk as Wu Ling transformed himself into a squirrel. Wu Ling sprang into the willow tree and scrambled to the top. "Chu will probably turn himself into a cat so he can climb up the tree after me," Wu Ling said to himself. "But he'll never catch me. I'll jump from tree to tree, and he won't be able to follow me." Of course, Chu thought about changing himself into a cat. "But that's just what Wu Ling expects me to do," he said. "What can I do to surprise him?" He thought and thought. "I know. I'll swoop down upon him from above." And he turned into a hawk. Chu circled round and round in the sky above the willow tree, searching for Wu Ling. Wu Ling peered through the leaves of the tree, looking for Chu on the ground. Round and round Chu circled the willow tree until he spied Wu Ling. "Ka-ka-ka-ka-ka!" he shrieked as he zoomed down upon the squirrel. Wu Ling trembled. Chu's beak looked sharp enough to pierce right through him. "If only I lived in a shell house," he thought, "then Chu couldn't hurt me." Chu stuck out his fierce claws to seize Wu Ling, but Wu Ling dove toward the river below the willow tree. And as he dove, he tucked in his head and tail and legs, turned green, and changed himself into a turtle. Wu Ling climbed up on a mossy rock in the middle of the river. He thought he was safe because he looked as if he were part of the rock. Chu circled round and round, searching and searching, until his sharp eyes spotted the turtle. Then he swooped down, down, down toward him. But just as Chu reached him, Wu Ling plunged into the water. "Follow me and you'll drown," he cried. "Don't worry," cried Chu, plunging right behind Wu Ling. His body grew longer. covered with scales. He whipped the water with his long, wicked tail, and he snapped his spike-toothed jaws as he turned into a crocodile. Wu Ling circled round and round as he plunged down, down, down to the bottom of the river. Chu lashed his wicked tail as he plunged after Wu Ling. Just as they reached the bottom, Chu clamped Wu Ling in his spike-toothed mouth. "Now I've got you," he bellowed through his clenched teeth. "Oh, no, you haven't," cried Wu Ling, who grew smaller and smaller and changed himself from green to gold as he transformed himself into goldfish, and he swam out of Chu's mouth between his spiked teeth. Then he hid in a patch of cattails. Chu churned the water with his lashing tail as he charged into the patch after Wu Ling. With his head swinging back and forth and his eyes darting here and there, he searched for Wu Ling. Wu Ling knew that Chu would not give up until he found him. "I must fly out of here," he thought, and he started to honk as he transformed himself into a goose. Chu charged after him, but Wu Ling spread his wings and took to the air. Chu watched him fly to a small island where a flock of geese were feeding. By now, he was not only very angry, he was also very hungry. He decided that if he could not catch Wu Ling, any goose would make him a good dinner. He splashed through the water toward the island until he reached it. "Honk, honk," called Wu Ling, and he took to the air. A chorus of honks swelled the air as the flock of geese spread their wings to follow him. While Chu watched the honking grew fainter, the flock grew smaller, and he felt his anger slowly drain away. Oh, why did we ever play that stupid game?" he moaned. "I'll never see Wu Ling again." He closed his eyes and sank toward the river's bottom. Just as he touched it, however, he had an idea, and up he popped again, a goose himself. Moments later, Chu was flying after Wu Ling and the other geese. He could hardly see or hear them at first, but he did not let this discourage him. Calling upon every last bit of strength, he forged ahead. Each flap of his wings brought him closer. The wedge of geese slowly grew bigger, the honking grew louder, and at last Chu found himself flying beside Wu Ling. "I'm tired of our silly game," he cried. "Come back with me to our willow tree." Before Wu Ling could answer, something stung Chu's right wing, and he sank toward the ground. The hunter had shot him. Wu Ling flew down beside Chu, placed his left wing under Chu's smashed right wing, and together they fluttered down to the edge of the forest. The hunter ran toward them. "Fly away," Chu urged Wu Ling. "Save yourself! Fly! Fly!" "I won't desert you," cried Wu Ling, and with a mighty roar, he changed into an enormous lion. The hunter raised his bow. Wu Ling sprang toward him and knocked the bow from his hand, and the hunter fled, leaving his bow behind. Wu Ling and Chu returned to their fox shapes, and Wu Ling helped Chu to his den, where he took care of him until he was mended. "Did they ever play that game again?" asked little Sue. "Many times," said her grandfather, "but they were very, very careful." "That was a good story," said little Sue. "Let's do another." Grandfather arranged his 7 10-gram pieces. "Is this story going to be about a man?" asked little Sue. "Yes," said her grandfather. "He's old and he's tired, and he wants to sit under a tree and rest a while." "Is he a grandfather like you?" asked little Sue. "Yes," said her grandfather, "just like me." Little Sue arranged the 7 pieces of her tangram beside her grandfather's. "Is that a little girl?" he asked. "Yes," said little Sue, "just like me. She'll sit and rest beside the man." "That will make him very happy," said Grandfather Tang. "And now, little Sue, what will we do?" "We'll sit and rest until Mother calls us for supper," said little Sue. "And that will make me very happy," said her grandfather. The end.
Hi, everyone. We're doing a Lunar's New Year's craft, and I hope you are ready to craft along. I hope you've picked up your bag at the library. If you haven't, there might still be bags there. You can always contact us and ask, or just stop by. But there are also a lot of a lot of materials that people that you might have already. Or might be easy to pick up. So we're going to be making these Lunar New Year's, I gotta lean way back here, dragons. So there's two ways you can make them. The bag you've picked up from the library has all your materials. Afra's very excited to make these dragons. She's been enjoying the dragons already. So we have this one where you do quarter cup, or you can cut. If you don't want to do as much cutting, you can make half cupcake liner dragons. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our bag here. We're going to pull out our black piece of paper and just set that down. I'm going to pull out all the rest of my pieces so you have all your eyeballs and everything in here. And I am going to get my cupcake liners. I am going to see here. I'm going to count. One. So we're going to cut all but one of our cupcake liners in halves or quarters. I'm going to do halves just because it's going to take a little less time, but please feel free to do quarters. So I have my whole pile here. I'm going to put one aside. I'm going to put this. I'm going to put a blue one aside. And I'm going to cut these in half. Set my halves aside. Let's cut all these in half. Let me let you guys see what I'm doing here. You can probably cut a bunch at a time if you wanted to. I'm going to cut each individual one because I don't want to screw them up. Wait, hold on. I think I'm going to try two. I'm being daring. Yeah, it worked pretty well. And you might not end up using all of them. I suspect I will not use all of them, but cut them all anyway if you want, or you can cut them as you go. Either way. But make sure you leave one out. All right. So I'm going to take my piece of paper. The two things that aren't included in your bag that you're going to need are the scissors I just used. A pair of scissors like I just used, and a glue, some sort of glue. I'm using a glue stick today, but you can use any kind of glue. And we're going to take the first liner, we're going to glue it towards the top. So here's my top up here, which you can't really see. Let me see if I can move. There we go. I'm going to kind of do it the same way that in the half circle that we have in our example. So I'm going to do glue. Careful. Just glue it down. It's going to fight you a little bit, but that's okay. These are made to be cupcakes folders, so they're not going to necessarily glue super flat. You can add a curve or you can leave it flat. I would do also mix up your colors. Now, as always, if you've ever watched any of my crafting videos, you know that if yours looks a little different at the end, that is A-okay. Everybody's dragon's going to look a little different. And say mine's honestly, I think maybe my glue stick's a little old. Mine's not gluing real well. So there is that. So maybe I'm just not putting enough glue on them. Who knows? pink yet, so I'm going to use my pink. You can make it an actual pattern. So like I've done green, purple, blue, red, light blue, pink. So I've used all my colors now, so now I should go back to my green. So I'm going to make a little pattern, but if you don't want to make a color pattern, you just want to use whatever colors you feel like, that is okay too. So now I need a purple. Here's a purple. I'm definitely not gonna use all of these. You can see my pile here, and I'm only gonna probably use 1 or 2 more. I'm gonna use a dark blue now. Let's see here. You can also, if you cut it into quarters, you definitely won't need everything. A red. All right. Why they're not gluing particularly well, but that's okay. So I've got them all glued down. Now you're going to make the dragon head. So I'm gonna move my camera back up to me. Here is my liner I didn't have. And what you're gonna do is, so that it looks like this, is you're gonna cut off your sides. So I put my scissors down. So here is my cut off the sides, so you get a rectangular head. And you're going to glue just the top half of this one, because the bottom half is going to be open for all your teeth and stuff, which are going to be some of the stuff you have in your bag. Glue the top half down. Glue, glue, glue. All right, I'm going to show you. Here's my dragon so far. All right, so you can, as you can see on our example dragon here, we've got some nostrils, which we can draw with a marker. She also added some stuff around the eyes, but on this one we didn't, so it's kind of up to you whether you want stuff around the eyes. I happen to have, sitting right here, a handy dandy black Sharpie, but any black marker will do. So I'm going to draw my circles. There's my nostrils. And then you're going to take your ribbon, which is going to be in your little baggie here. You're going to glue these. Ooh. You can cut this first. I did not realize we'd not cut. I'm going to cut my 2 pieces of ribbon. And these are going to be like little dragon whiskers. You can use all your ribbon or not. It's up to you. Let me just check and make sure I have enough battery here, guys. Yeah. Okay. That. Yeah, my glue is just not working real well, friends. So, but you can see what a completed one looks like because I already have some completed ones. You're going to glue your whiskers on. You might end up getting your hands a little gluey. And that's okay. Just, there's my whiskers. And then I'm going to add my googly eyes, which you're going to have googly eyes. I have my googly eyes in here. Got my googly eyes. You might have some extra googly eyes in your bag, and that's okay. So if you like lose one, oh yeah, my ribbon's coming off here. like we have on here, you see our teeth. Our teeth, and you can also, this one, I don't think either of them have flames, but you can add flames. You can also use some of the pieces you've cut if you want to add ears, or if you want to use a side piece and add a little tail. This one uses just a piece on its side. This one, you can see, cuts one of them into 3 pieces, and so you can use that. I'm gonna show you what else you have in here. So you have a couple little strips of white paper, so you can use that to add teeth, which I'm going to add a tooth or 2. Let's see, tooth or 2. All right, here's my little pointy teeth. Glue. You can glue them to the, you're going to want to glue them, and I will show you here, to your, he's got just 2 little teeth, one on each side. Glue them to your cupcake wrapper. You can see I've glued into this cupcake wrapper, not to my piece of paper. And the last thing you have in your bag is a whole bunch of fun colored tissue paper, which you can use, which you can glue to the, be very gentle gluing your tissue paper, because tissue paper can rip real easily. You're going to glue I'm going to glue those also to my head, my mouth, for little flames coming out of his mouth. If you don't want your dragon to be breathing flames, that's okay. You can use them, you can make like a fireworks in the background, or you can just not use them at all. That is fine. I'm going to show you my flames. I'm going to move the rest of my tissue paper. You also don't have to use all of your materials by any stretch, but there, he's got little teeth, he's got little flames, he's got little whiskers. So the only thing left to do for me, you can, as I said, you can add plenty of embellishments, is you will have a piece of chalk in your bag. Here's your chalk. And you can add, like this one, legs and feet. You can write Happy New Year. You can write Lunar New Year. I'm not particularly good at drawing. So there's my feet. I'm going to write and Happy New Year. So there's my little dragon, and I could add a little tail, give him a little tail, which I think maybe I will. And yeah, that's the basics of how you're going to do your Lunar New Year dragon. As I said, you can pick these up. If you haven't already picked them up at the library, you can pick them up. There might still be copies there, but I hope you enjoyed it. If not, you just need some paper, some tissue paper, or some cupcake liners, really, and you can make up the rest as you go along. You can draw a lot of this stuff on there with markers if you want. So yeah, I hope you enjoy making a Lunar New Year's dragon. Happy New Year, and I will catch you on the other side. Thanks, guys.
The Great Race, The Story of the Chinese Zodiac by Christopher Core, published by Francis Lincoln Books. Long ago, in very ancient China, there were no years or days or hours. The sun rose and fell without anyone knowing how much time had passed, and there was no way of telling. One day, the Jade Emperor realized that he did not know how old he was. We must have a way of measuring time, he thought.
So he gathered all the animals in the kingdom together and said, "Tomorrow there will be a great race. The first 12 animals to cross the river will each have a year named after them." All the animals wanted to win this wonderful prize. Among the animals were the cat and the rat, who were great friends. "Let's win this race together," said Cat. "Make sure you wake me up," he added, for he often slept all day. In the morning, the rat pushed, tickled, and shouted, but it was impossible to wake the cat. So he crept out of the house and headed for the river. On his way, the rat met an ox. "Are you joining the race, Rat?" asked the ox. "Ride on my back and I will carry you across." "I will sing to you and say thanks," said the rat, and he climbed aboard. The great race had begun. The big ox swam gracefully across the big river, serenaded by his new friend. But as soon as the rat saw land, he leapt from the ox and fell at the feet of the emperor. "Congratulations, clever rat," said the emperor. "The first year will be named after you, and the second year, kind ox, will belong to you." Next came the tiger, whose beautiful striped coat became heavy with river water. But the tiger struggled on to reach the shore. "Welcome, strong tiger," said the emperor. "The third year will be named after you." The rabbit really didn't like water. He noticed some rocks in the river and decided to hop across to keep his paws dry until a log floated by. He jumped on and a strong breeze blew him ashore. The fourth year is named after the lucky rabbit. A magnificent dragon was the fifth to cross the river. "What kept you?" asked the emperor. "The land and the people were thirsty, so I had to make rain for them," explained the dragon. "And then I noticed a rabbit trying to cross the river, so I blew a log in his direction and guided him to shore." "Well, warm-hearted dragon," said the emperor, "the fifth year will belong to you." Next, a galloping horse made waves and splashes appeared on the shore. But just as he was shaking the water from his long mane, a snake slithered from his leg. The horse jumped back in fright, and the crafty snake claimed sixth place. "And you, fine horse, have the seventh year," said the emperor. A goat, a monkey, and a rooster decided to work together to win a place. The rooster found a wooden raft. The goat chewed weeds and grasses and cleared a path for the raft to sail. The monkey found a long branch which he used to steer and push them to the other side. The emperor was delighted to see their fine teamwork. "The eighth year will be goats, the ninth year monkeys, and the 10th year roosters," he said. A dog arrived to claim the 11th place. He was a strong swimmer and could have arrived earlier, but he was too busy chasing sticks and splashing in the water. "The 11th year will belong to the playful dog." As the moon was rising in the evening sky, the emperor heard a loud squealing and screeching. It was a large pig who finally emerged from the river. "I am so sorry I'm late, Emperor, but I found some delicious apples by the riverbank, and then I found a pool of mud, and then I fell asleep." "Be that as it may," said the emperor, "the 12th and final year will be the year of the pig." "The great race is over," said the emperor. "Let us celebrate." But just then, there came a terrible howling from the reeds. It was the cat, looking wet and bedraggled and very, very cross. He saw the rat sitting with the emperor and shouted, "You were supposed to wake me, rat! You rat, I will never forgive you!" The cat was so angry that the rat fled for his life. And through the first 12 years that passed, and the 12 years after that, In all the many years leading up to this day, rats have always fled from cats.